One of the first things that you'll set up in any system are the parameters, which will define and control certain actions that will take place within that system. And one of the core systems is obviously General Ledger, as the rest of your financial systems will be feeding information into the General Ledger. Now, to find the parameter setup, as you can see navigation wise through the menus, it's General Ledger, Maintenance, and parameters are always the last item on the maintenance menu. Not everyone will have access to parameters, and indeed it's good practice to limit access to a controlled set of people. You'll notice there are a number of boxes or areas on the screen. The first is a miscellaneous. My parameters have been filled in. If you were setting the system up from scratch, you would choose here. The first thing that you'd nominate is how many periods you wish to have in a normal financial year. A lot of people run this as 12 months, running them as calendar months. Other people will have 12 periods, and their end of financial period may end on, say, the last Friday of the month. Other people will have 2 4-week periods and a 5-week period, 2 4-week periods and a 5-week period. Still other people may run 13 periods a year, and they may run 13 4-weekly periods. Whatever is appropriate to you in discussion with your accountant and so forth, you'll know what the answer to this is, so just plug it in. The current period is a field that you can't change. You set up initially, but after that, as you go through and close periods within the General Ledger, that will simply automatically increment. The one thing to note with the period number throughout the system, the first 2 digits indicate the year and the second 2 digits indicate the period number. So at the moment I'm in my 12 financial year and my current period is period 1. The next miscellaneous item that we'd set up here is our net profit account. As you would be aware, hopefully, the net profit account will accumulate or have transferred to it the net profit from the previous year. As you roll forward from one financial year to the next, all of your profit and loss accounts will be zeroed, and they will carry forward into the new financial year with a zero balance. In order to do that, that money has to be transferred somewhere, and that would be to a retained profit and loss type account. And obviously, or hopefully obviously, that should be a balance sheet account. Other things that you get to nominate here is whether you wish to use sub-accounts or not. Sub-accounts are basically a subdivision of an account. We'll talk about that a little bit more when you look at setting up the actual General Ledger accounts themselves. Also, whether you wish to use transaction batching. Most people do, and I think it's a good idea. If you activate transaction batches, then if someone enters a transaction of some sort in the General Ledger system, the person that does the original entry is then the only person that can make changes and amendments to that transaction. So it makes it very easy to identify who actually did something. And also when it comes time to post or update the system, it's possible to post transactions that you as a user did without accidentally posting transactions or entries that have been made by other people. Although if you wish, or if someone has the authority to do so, they can post all transactions regardless of who entered them. If you are using the job costing system, you may optionally elect to turn this flag on in terms of using costed accounts. You don't have to do so, and if you aren't using the job costing system, this field should be left blank. But if you tick the field, what will occur is that you will then be presented with a checkbox on your chart of accounts to indicate if the account is costed, and that would typically be a work in progress account. The system will then put some additional checks in place and ensure that whenever you enter a costed account, assuming you're on a screen that can actually allow you to enter a general ledger account number, it will ensure that that's always entered in conjunction with a job number. You won't be able to reference a costed account without entering a job number, and conversely, you won't be able to reference a job with an uncosted account. So as I said, if you're using job costing, you would probably have this flag set, and if you're not, you wouldn't do so. You'll see there's also a section here that talks about automatic numbering. And the system can automatically number manual journals, standing journals, accruals, pro ratas, super ratios, quick ratios. Don't worry if you don't know what they're about at the moment. We'll cover those in the transactions section for general ledger. And basically the system will allow these numbers to be allocated incrementally across the system, regardless of which entity, cost center or division you're in. Alternatively, you can have those numbers allocated sequentially within and uniquely within each entity, division, cost center, whatever terminology you feel happy with, or you can turn the facility off. And turning it off means that the system won't automatically allocate those numbers, and you would be doing so yourself. You may have a manual journal book or something that those things are being entered up into. The next box I draw your attention to is this summary accounts box. It's possible that there are some high activity accounts in your general ledger that when you produce a trial balance, a detailed trial balance, you don't really want to see the details in some accounts, simply because there are so many of them, and 99.99% of the time it's just a waste of paper, or if you're producing it as a PDF, it's just a waste of bits. So you have the option of saying, yes, I'd like to summarize some accounts, and then this table allows you to nominate the accounts that you would like to not show full details for on those trial balances. If you did want to or need to show the transaction detail, it's just a case of coming to the parameters, turning off the checkbox, still leave the accounts set up in the table. If you do a trial balance now, then this intercompany transfer account would actually show full details. Once you've got the details and you don't want them again in the future, come back to parameters, check the box, and those details will be suppressed. The last box on the screen here has to do with catch-all information. Now, as the name hopefully implies, as you're setting up other subsidiary systems, it's possible that you're going to be asked to enter up general ledger accounts, or to enter up entities or cost centers or divisions, and your setup in those other areas may be faulty, and you may forget, neglect to enter up some information. And if that's the case, and you're doing an update of the system, what the posting processes will actually do is, rather than abort, they'll say, look, I'll use this catch-all information, so if you didn't nominate a general ledger account, it will use this account, or if you didn't nominate an entity to be used, it will use whatever entity you nominate here, just to ensure that that posting will physically go through. Of course, if that does go through, it would be nice for someone to take some corrective action, and normally your catch-all account would be some form of suspense or clearing account, so you'd like to let some people with authority to go and fix this stuff know about that. So you do that by nominating an email distribution list here. And the corrective actions that I would expect that they would take would be initially to reverse the entries that were made to these catch-all accounts and or entities and put them to where they should be, but then to complete the task and ensure that you don't have a repeat of that problem, go into the associated areas to set up the missing information. The second screen that we have for our parameters in General Ledger is the no post area. Now, the no posting accounts, being this table at the top here, are accounts that you don't want people to accidentally post to. Things that spring to mind here would include control accounts for debtors, creditors, inventory, bank account, and so forth. However, There are some times and people that you may need to be able to put entries out to those accounts. For example, when you're first starting the system, you need to get some opening balances in there. So the table on the bottom is a list of people that can actually post to these accounts in the top table. Even though most people would be locked out. So if someone tried to post to, say, my accounts payable control account, and when I say post here, I mean by way of a distribution. Obviously, the accounts payable control account would be associated with creditors, and we'd get that updated automatically. But if I was doing a manual journal through my general ledger system, you don't want to accidentally impact the accounts payable control account. So if someone tries to, and if they're not on this list, they'll be told, look, you can't do that, you can't reference this account because it's a non-posting account. Conversely, if someone who is on this list, such as me, tries to reference this account, I'll get a warning still, so I'll be alerted to the fact that it's a no-post account, but I will be able to continue. Once you have that information in place, your general ledger system should be ready to go. You'll be ready now to start to do some transactions, or probably first do some other maintenance and so forth. As a general rule, just as a note, parameters across the board tend to be things that you would set up once and hopefully not need to come back and maintain again. However, if you already have parameters set up, and if you've just learnt something that you didn't know, it's probably a good idea to go in and review your current setup to make sure it actually reflects your reality. Thanks for watching.